Hey, people, it's another Thursday. Welcome to the conversation. It's Outspoken Opinionated. Of course, I am your host, Edwin Maya. We are still in this February month of love and all the good stuff that happens with February. But of course, we can't have a conversation about love without bringing other things in love. As we also celebrate Black History Month, I decided to go ahead and bring some little culture into this place. So as you can see, I got my little shirt on and all that good stuff. But if you aren't aware, the conversation Outspoken Opinionated is on Spotify. We are on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, excuse me. And of course, you can go to YouTube, the conversation Outspoken Opinionated. You can subscribe so you can get our videos, all our everything that we're doing. We're also on Instagram, of course, the conversation. And then we are on Facebook, the conversation Outspoken Opinionated. So let's get into it. This Thursday, today, I have two amazing people. Funny thing about these two people is the last time I was with these two people all together was 2016, back in Liberia. Don't know if both of them remember it, but that's what it was. And so none other, of course, I love to draw knowledge from people that I know, people that I do respect. And so both of our guests tonight are two people that I respect, two people that I love, and I know it's going to be a great conversation. Again, the conversation that we're going to have today is just going to be relaxed, chill. We're asking you guys to join us. For those who are watching, you can put comments in the comment box. If you want to send comments to someone personally, you can send it to them. You want to send it to us, we can have a conversation with you as well. But this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to bring the guests in. So I'm going to start off with Glenn. Welcome to the conversation, sir.
Hey, thank you for having me.
It's always good to have you here. We have our other guest, Miss Sharon. Are you ready? I'm going to bring you in. There you go. Hey, guys.
Hi.
Okay, so I have both of you guys here with us tonight. It's going to be love and gender. We're going to add a little bit of love, gender, and sex in the mix. So I hope you guys are ready. It's going to be a little ratchet. But first, before we do anything, I brought my drink. I tried to do this. I have a drink.
Okay.
What's in it?
It is actually rum. It's called St. John rum. It's from Liberia. Mixed with cranberry juice. I love it. It tastes so good.
Okay.
So I have this rum, and Sharon, next time you're in the DC area, I'm going to let you taste them.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Glenn is not drinking. I heard that Glenn has stopped drinking alcohol, so I'm not going to give him some of my liquor. But anywho, you guys are here. This is February, the love month. Sharon, you are happily married. So I know it's the Valentine season, a great, this month is a great thing for you, for the married couple, because, I'm just asking. Because everybody make this Valentine thing real big.
We've been married 3 years and we've been married 3 years, been together almost 7. And Valentine's Day is still a thing for us. So I don't know if because we're only married 3 years, we're still kind of not in that honeymoon stage, but still in the early stages that it is, something that still is important to us to celebrate. So it's a thing for us.
Okay, well, Glenn, I'm not going to go in your personal business because I heard some stories about you, but I'm just going to leave it alone.
Because I ain't got no personal business.
Yeah, we did hear about something there. I'm just going to.
I ain't got no personal business.
Love. So have you guys? I just want to talk about when we talk about love. What's your Have you? First of all, let's do this. Have you ever been in love? I know you're married, Sharon. So hey. But there are times when people say sometimes people get married and they're not in love. After marriage, and they fall in love. So Glenn, have you ever been in love? Like when we talk about this whole love thing.
The way I think about it is.
No, I ain't asking.
That's right. That's a setup right there.
Don't even try to plead the fifth.
No. I mean, keep it real, yeah. So when you're in love, I mean, there's a consensus, right? There's like two people in love that it's experiential and beautiful, right? I have loved people. I don't know about being in love. Like, I think what Sharon's in is love, right?
There's a difference. There's definitely a difference. And I'm sure EJ can testify to that too.
Oh, yeah, I'm in love. I love love. Like
Yeah.
I need shit today and tomorrow I'm in love. So I'm like a totally different person. I love love. I celebrate love. I love to
Love is
experience love.
nice.
I think love. My love is different. And so normally that's what I say to people. I think my love is different and everybody's love is different. So you just understand how it goes down. Oh, okay. Okay, Jesus. Love face that. Oh. So let's get into this conversation about love and gender. So why this conversation came about, of course, I was having a conversation with my people, people who help me out to do this stuff. And it was talking about, love and sex. There are two different things, and how people, they're different opinions when it comes to love and when it comes to sex. So I want us to have a little short discussion on, does there always have to be love and sex? Are they different, or do they always have to be together in a relationship?
Meaning, elaborate for me.
So love and sex. So for me, this is what I said. I feel that I will start over myself. I feel love and sex are two different things. I think
Mhm.
you can be with somebody and you can just have sex without love, and you can be
Got
in
you.
love with somebody and be in a relation with them and have love without sex. But then
Got you.
there are relationships where both of them can be together. So
Hmm.
for your understanding, is it okay? Like, do you see that? But there are people who believe that, hey, I can, you can be in love and not necessarily have sex, and you can have sex and not necessarily be in love. So are there a difference, or you have to have both of them at the same time to experience this relationship?
Okay.
Um, Me personally, I don't have to have both. I'm the type of person where I can have, or I have had in the past, physical relationships with no type of attachment. Like, that is your sole purpose, is
Uh,
for the physicality, and that's it. Like, I barely even want you to stay at my house afterwards. See you later. Bye bye. So, for me personally, no, I don't need the two. But now that I do have love, and I'm in a marriage, sex is very important in our marriage and our relationship. It's just a connection that we built in the beginning phases of our relationship. So of course the expectations are to continue it. So, but to answer the question, for me personally, I don't have to have both. I haven't had to have both in the past.
Fair. For me, I think,
Glenn,
when it
you're a
comes to
little.
romantic relationships, unless sex is not an element of it, like Sharon said, then typically it's usually found within such, context, right? Some people obviously aren't into sex, so there's that. But if you build a romantic relationship of sex, then it's important to the relationship, then of course it exists in it. If you exist in, it's all contextual, right? So if you exist in a relationship where sex forms the foundation of that relationship, it's important. If you're in an exclusive relationship, right? Obviously, if you're in a sexually exclusive relationship, and sex is important to the relationship because you have to be there for your partner. If you're not in a sexually exclusive relationship, then obviously there's, a lot of fluidity to that, and how people interpret it and work their way around it is unique to each relationship. But yeah, if you consider, since there's other types of love, right? There's platonic love, all the other ones. But if you're in a romantic relationship, it usually connotes sexual engagement. So it can be far removed.
So are these, so for me, I don't think they're connected. And that's why I really want us to really have a conversation about that. I don't think they're connected. And I think like Sharon said, but for some of us, I always put myself out there, who quick to catch feelings. I can do one night stand. I can do it. I don't know how to just hit him. Yeah, I can.
You said you cannot?
I cannot. It's a hard thing for me. Because for
Okay.
Neither
me,
can
yeah, for me, sex is more than an act. It's more than an act. It's like it's emotions, it's feeling, it's everything get involved. And so for me, I don't know. I feel there's some sort of connection with sex and love.
Okay. To each his own, honey.
It's hard. Like I would tell you, it's really hard for me. Like Now I'm in a
But
full-blown
are you like an emotional person at all? Are you like a sensitive person?
all of that. Real sensitive, real emotional. So I am the kind of person where I like in it. I when I meet somebody, I literally tell you exactly what I want. And I say, hey, this is what I want. This is the part of it that I want. And if the person is not in for it, I totally like, okay, good. See you. Bye.
When
Have
you
I
tell,
done it
have
before
there
and
been
tried
instances,
it?
have
Go
there been
ahead. Sorry.
instances where you tell people what you want is just sex?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
So I have to go in intentionally. Like, you know
Okay.
how it's like, yeah, I have to go in intentionally, get what I want and move on. Then because for me, the way how my brain works, everything has to be planned.
But if it's more than one time, so you don't consider it
Oh,
as
no, no,
love.
no, no. If it was just a hit and quit, it can't be more than once. It can gotta be one time.
Okay.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. If
So
it's
Okay.
like,
you have been in engagements where it's just sex.
yes.
Yeah.
But it was that one time done and I move on. Because
Okay.
I know if I go back, there is a possibility where I might keep on going back, and that's not what I want.
You have a tendency to get addicted. We see you.
Shut up. Yeah. But
There,
it's
there,
But then this is the thing, right? So I want to right now we're talking about love and sex, and I want us to really really focus on this. But if sex is present, is there love?
ideally, yeah.
If
You think if sex is
no,
present, is love?
If
I
sex is present in a relationship, is there love?
Yeah.
I mean, okay. In a loving relationship, I would assume it is.
No. If
Like
sex is
I
present,
don't
is
think
there love?
everybody you have sex with you're in love with.
I
There's a
don't
lot
know.
of people
You
you
can
have
let
sex
us
with that, like Sharon said, you don't want them to spend the night, you don't want to see them tomorrow. Like, do not call me. Like text only, and every other week it's
Oh, it's a sex every other week. Wow.
no
Ooh.
text, not sex, text. I mean, there's obviously people you have sexual encounters with that you're not in love with. You don't have feelings for, right? So it's just scratching
I
the itch.
think it's yeah, those days, I like to say those days, when I was out in the street, it was for the streets. So what's
mhm.
wonderful for the streets?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So you know the
but
answer to that question.
and
So
I
sex
never
can
and
easily
it's
exist without love.
weird because first of all, you ain't coming to my house. So let's talk about that first.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
nobody come.
travel.
Yeah, I would travel. You ain't coming to my house. My house is I can't do it.
And I'm the exact opposite. I don't like going to people's houses.
Oh, no, I can't go to
My
your
house is
house.
very nice. I try and keep it quite clean. I can trust the sheets.
I ain't there for your sheets.
I've had people come to my house, but you know, yeah.
But
So
so
we all got a plan.
yeah, so we have admitted the fact that there can be love without sex, and there can be. So I really want to. Can there be love
Okay.
without sex?
Yeah.
I think so. Um, I've never experienced that, but I think that it's possible, especially if you're so actually let me backtrack. When my wife and I first got together, we made it because we were both kind of coming out of something and it was still fresh. We decided to wait. We waited for a few months before we became physical. And it definitely, for me personally, I know I started falling like immediately after we started just dating. So I definitely I think yeah, absolutely there can be love without there being sex. Now forever, no. But initially, absolutely. What are you thinking?
Yeah, Glenn.
It's all contextual, right? And Sharon gave good context. There's times in romantic relationships where it's not really about sex, but sex. I think sex is an act that romantic partners enjoy. Period. Right. So most relationships aren't based on the foundation of just sex. Some are, but most aren't, and those that aren't don't particularly require sex for that level of share that intimacy on different levels. So however they get that intimate center, mm, simply might not be sex. Sexual intimacy is a thing, right? But people, have experiential intimacy. There's like emotional intimacy. I think it's another form of intimacy, right? That people share in relationships, romantic relationships that's not necessarily sex. But like I said, it's all contextual, right? If you live in, especially if you're in like a modern gay community, you find out that a lot of these relationships tend to be open, and that just comes down to the fact that a lot of relationships don't try not to build their center around sex, right? They build it around other forms of intimacy that both partners can share, and then they choose to explore their sexual side within and outside the relationship. So they are two separate things, but it's an act that romantic partners can enjoy in a relationship.
So if I just want to, so just to hear you correctly, so romantic partners appreciate the act of sex, right?
Together,
Okay, so but can we appreciate the acts of sex if we're not romantic lovers?
yeah. Like, have you? Okay, I think
Go
like
ahead, go ahead, go ahead. That's what I want. I like that. I have you. Yeah, have you?
no, I'm like, we've all been in relationships where there weren't romantic feelings attached. Well, I don't speak for everyone, but I've been in relationships where there weren't romantic feelings attached. Sometimes it was more like, well, we all know the popular term friends with benefits, right?
Mhm.
Or there's some sort of feelings, but it's more uncertain, or situationship as people call them. You're in a space where this person is good to have sex with, but they're not the one for you, right? You don't want to introduce them to your friends. You don't want to have them like, this is not a person to go on dates with. I'll just meet you at that crib, and I'll call you on Saturday night when I'm lonely, and we get to it, right?
Mhm.
But I don't, yeah, sex easily can exist. I mean, we exist in a this is 2022, for Christ's sake. We exist in a world where everybody is doing everybody, and doing anything with everybody. So sex can very easily be enjoyed without a connotation of romanticism.
Okay, so I like the way how you twisted it, and I like where we're going. I know some of us have been in relationships where you aren't in the relationship for sex. There are so many other things that you appreciate this relationship for, and even though the sex is not good, but you stay in the relationship because the companionship is great. The conversations are good for some of us who are like we just need to like talk all the time. The person is always there to talk and stuff like that. But does love make sex more for?
Yes, and I just say it's based off experience. If you really care about someone and you have sex with them, it's a much more mind blowing experience than when you're just trying to get a quick shot.
But then what happened to the
Like,
sex where you just wanted to experience certain things? There are certain things that some of us wanted to experience, and so we knew that if we need to get to that place in life, we need to do certain things. And I didn't want to go with the person I'm with because they just want to be,
yeah, but
yeah, I
ideally,
just
do
want
you
to be
still
tied up. I
do
know nobody
you,
want to tie
do
me
you
up. I
still
hope.
want to do those things though? So, for example, threesomes. Some
Mhm.
people are comfortable having extra partners in the bed. That's, again, it goes down to sexual intimacy, right? Those are like the special moments you have with your partner that you share, and they're intimate, and you're like, hey, this is what I want to do, and your partner's like, yes, we should do it, right? It's a sexually intimate moment. But same thing, not everything you did outside a relationship you want to do inside a relationship, and that's totally fine. But are you also accommodating of what your partner wants to do inside a relationship? You know, and because if you're trying to protect, maybe the emotional and engagement you guys have, or intimacy you have, you might need to make some concessions. Maybe your partner is a bit more sexually adventurous, right? And you want to try certain things. It might not be your jive, but you're open to it because you want to keep them.
So since we brought this in, let's talk about that. So there are sexual things, or love things, or fantasies that people have in relationships. And I think it's important that we have this conversation. So we're talking about love and sex. So I definitely just said no. Me and my partner, we are not having anybody else in our bed. That's not my thing. When I wanted to do threesome, I went in the street and did my threesome and came home. That's how I said that was my thing. That's I did it out there. I don't need I need to go where I don't know nobody. Nobody know me. The people I don't know them. We get it in and we move on. Because if I just get in the street, I ain't know you. I ain't talking to you. But that's how I wanted to express it, so I did it. So now you with the person, and we're talking about like a threesome, but there's some people who like toys and all that kind of stuff. Let's bring that into context. So does love make sex more fulfilling when it comes to all the other extra stuff that is included? Sharon, don't be quiet.
You told me be quiet.
I said
Don't
don't
be
be.
quiet.
No, I was just gonna say, I just think I don't know if love has anything to do with it per se. Um, and I'll speak from two different situations, from being single and then being married. Like being single, if you just have the understanding that this is just a physical relationship, then I think, adding extra elements to it could be fun. You know what I'm saying? And then I think you would be more open to it because there aren't any strings attached. Now, fast forward to being in a relationship or being married, especially, even without being married, if this is someone that you're willing to invest time into, I still think it's something that, you can kind of toy around with. If this is,
But if
you've
you
made
love
the
me,
commitment.
stuff like that. If you love me, prove your love. I want to have two other people join
Well,
us.
no, well, no, I'm not talking about like multiples, you know. Um, but there are other things like you mentioned. There's toys, there's games, and things like stuff like that keeps the relationship kind of spicy, and it just changes it up, a little bit. Because we think about it, when you're married or when you're committed to a partner, that's the only person you're going to physically be with for the rest of your life. So you can't do the same routine all the time. No, if both of y'all are in agreement and open to other people coming into your relationship, that's your own thing. But I don't think that, and it just depends on the couple. Like, if you think that you're strong enough, your love is strong enough to handle that without breaking it, then I'm all for it. But if you know that one person may be more jealous than the other, then y'all don't even need to entertain that at all. So, because that's going to break your love up right there. I've seen
Mhm.
it happen to people. So, yeah, it just depends on the couple. But it can be, love can be incorporated in it or it can't. But yeah.
I know a lot of couples. In fact, I know a lot of people who enjoy seeing their partners with other people. It's the
Hmm.
thing, So, and by the time you get to the stage where you're getting married, I know people are very friendly. By the time you get into the stage where you're getting married, I mean, relationship dating, right? It's all about getting to know people. So you're
Mhm.
meeting people, you're engaging them, you're becoming closer, you're learning more about them, and then you're understanding what you can shuck and jive with, right? So after a while, you know that okay, this person is a voyeur, or they're an exhibitionist. It's not my jive. So you shift to the left, and then you go find your person that works with you, or you might give it a try and realize that it's something that you enjoy as well. And like Sharon said, right? If this is the person you're committing to sexually for the rest of your life, you have to make sure that you're having good, fun sexual experiences with this person. So if you have fantasies that you want to try, I mean, you've committed, right? You have to tell this person like, look, I want to try this stuff. See if the person will be open to it. As a partner, if you're married and your partner, if things change, right? So you might just be into missionary from day one, but down the line you might want to, use some toys or get a bit more adventurous with those anal balls and beads and stuff, and you have to be willing to try, I guess.
I like that you guys brought this up. So I had a conversation with so I have a social
About anal
friend
beads.
that I know who is married, and they the couple go on vacation. Every time they go on vacation, one person has to basically, so you are going to catch. So let's say, yeah, so they go on, they do the annual vacation. So they do a vacation with the kids, then they do vacation just mom and dad. And when mom and
Mhm.
dad this year is going to be dad time to catch. And whatever dad catches and bring is going to work. So there are times where dad has brought a male, dad has brought a female, mom has brought males, and mom has brought females. And everything that happened on that vacation, it stays there. Like we were just having like a random conversation, and it just came up, and I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, that's what we do." And so I was like, "Okay, so what do you do? You know, when your partner? Oh, it's a mutual thing. I participate, he participate, and we do it. If it's the time where there are two guys and me, we participate, and whatever happens, happens. And the same thing, vice versa. And I was like, but when you guys leave from there, do you have thoughts? And she was like, no, it's just sex. There
Yeah.
was nothing. Because for me, I'm just like, oh, okay. I don't know, because I'm like, if we're in that moment and I see you really enjoying what's happening, I'm gonna get real mad. That's
It's
And
me.
see,
you have to
that's the
enjoy it.
difference. And I think that's the difference. Like that particular couple, that's their love. That's part of their love language. Like that's what makes their relationship work. Because if there were restrictions where, okay, let's just say one person is like, okay, we're not going to do this anymore, that could probably affect the relationship in a negative way because this is what they've agreed on and this is what they're used to. Now, versus somebody like you already know from the beginning this isn't gonna work. So I think when we talk about relationships, marriages, love and stuff, it's sometimes put into like one category when everybody's different relationships are so different and they can define it in their own way and make it work for them and their partner. Like it doesn't have to, everything doesn't have to be so traditional. You know what I'm saying? So I think for them, that's their love. That's how they express love for each other, you know. So
And it was so funny because she said the first time it was so the first time they went out, they did what they did. You know, it was she. So she was to go out first. She met a guy. They cheated and everything in the king, and so she didn't know if her husband was going to participate, and she was
She
like,
didn't.
"Oh, okay, I guess." It was shocking for her. And so it was just, she said, it was like, oh my God, it was so shocking because I'm not attracted to women. So I didn't think, I was going to bring a woman, but I thought when I'm going to bring the guy, my husband would just watch. And no, he participated and it did I do. And it was fun. So when he went out and he brought a girl, she wanted to be like, oh, he was like, oh, no, 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 no. We're not going to do that. And
It's
so,
experiential, right?
and for me, I was just like, that's when we talked about the love. That's when we talk about love and sex and all that stuff. It's just intertwined. But I'm like, okay, so we have created this bond. We said this thing that we want to do, but in our minds, we still have these little restrictions that we don't voice out because we have an expectation that, I'm gonna bring this and you're gonna be able to. So do we have these conversations before, like really deeper conversations before we go into these other exhibitions?
Well, sometimes these events happen, and then you have a conversation about
It's,
it, right? It's like,
it's like a
oh,
whole
okay, I
thing.
didn't, I didn't, I didn't know you were this fluid. Like, but I mean, plus it's an experience. Somebody shows up with somebody else in your bed. It's like, oh, this is my partner. We're in it for life. We might as well get on, on board. I might as well get on board, right? Experience it. It might have been his first time. It's like, okay, why not? It's life. You have to experience things before you die. That's how I feel about it.
And I think it's important. I think everybody should. I think like last week when I having a conversation, we are talking more about love and Valentine's and all that stuff. And I think everybody needs to get to their wholeness sexually, where you know what you like and what you don't like, and when you meet somebody, you need to let that person know what you're into. Because if there's love thing that we're doing, and if you love me and I love you, these are the things that I'm into. These are the things that I like. This is I had a friend who he liked to go to strip clubs. But he liked to go to male strip clubs. And your wife was real confused about it. And I was saying, there's nothing wrong. That's why he lied. And she said, but you don't think, I said, I don't think nothing. If I were you, I would put on my clothes and follow my husband to go see what he's doing there.
That's true love and marriage.
Period.
Two
There
things
is
together.
pack your bag, put your clothes on.
And he might not have started. And so this is life, right? If you choose to be with someone, you have to accept that things can change, right? He might not have
Yeah.
started liking male straight clubs or having a schlong slapped against his face, right? On Friday night, but
Why
maybe it
Friday?
became a thing later on, huh?
Can it be on Thursdays? Why Fridays?
I mean, Thursdays is your show, right? So we try not to interrupt it with strip clubs.
I'm just
But
trying to see your experience. I'm just trying to get
I'm,
more experience because it seems like you're very
no, but I'm just saying, like, if you have a partner, then you can be like, and we're all conditioned a certain way. We saw how our parents grew up, but just understand that our parents grew up in different times. We're in different times. Experience things. Go out. Try stuff. Like I don't know, experience. Yeah, I've not been married before, but I imagine like that's what married people do.
well. I've been married
Sorry,
before.
yeah, I didn't do that.
No, we
I was trying
everybody.
to be traditional. That's why.
No, I'm not. I'm just being honest with you. When I was married before, there were things that I know that my wife did not like to do. There were a lot of things that she was like, "Oh no, no, Jenna."
Did she try them though? Did she try them though?
So I tried. So I would say this. So I tried taking her to the strip club one time,
Mhm.
and that was like a straight strip. And she was. We went in and she went out. She's like, I don't. I'm like,
She didn't
Mom,
even like strip clubs.
no, she did not even
That's like the
like it.
easiest of it.
What are you doing? Like, and we're on vacation. I forgot. I think went to Miami for like the weekend or something. And she was like, no. And I
I
was
would
like,
love to
okay.
be strip club in Miami.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, I'll meet you at the hotel.
Oh,
I
okay.
pay my money and brought my dollar bills. I ain't leaving without supporting a single mother $1 bill at a time. That's part of the
Mm-hmm.
vacation. Mm-mm.
You can support those straight to college here.
Hello.
Okay.
And so she went, okay, fine. And then there were a lot of other things, and I realized that okay, but like we said earlier, I think there are conversations I was supposed to have, but I just thought that it wasn't going to be a big deal without having a conversation, just bringing it
Fair
up, and
enough.
she's like, "Oh, sure, I will come." But then it was like we get there, and you're like, "Oh, no, don't want to do this, no." So but we have so I really want to bring gender into it. So now that
Okay.
we talked about we really I don't know if we have exhausted. I don't think we can ever exhaust love and sex because it's just that conversation that people don't want to have. People don't want to talk about. People don't want to talk about all the kind of sex and all the sexual things that they like. I don't understand why not, but I think we should all explore and have a good time.
A lot of people
But
have sex. I don't understand why people avoid this topic.
I'm
Look,
like, yeah, sex,
about
and yeah.
60% of people right now are having sex. Why
And the
people
good
say
thing
this
about it,
topic?
the
The
Bible,
statistics
then
are
our
there.
God made sex.
And say Adam came into his wife.
Eh! there, is a,
No, that's what they said, though.
there is nowhere
No,
in
no,
the
no,
Bible
no, no.
that said
No.
Adam came. You're a liar.
No. No,
Adam
no,
came
they say
into.
Adam got to know his wife.
Yeah,
Some
Adam
like
knew his wife. That's
explore.
what it said.
Yeah,
Adam,
something like he
he begot his
explored
wife.
her
They say
territories or something like that.
they never said Adam.
In the original Hebrew script, it was he explored her territories
He
and stuff like
begot.
that.
No, I would not
He
believe
got
that.
to know her areas
That's why he said they said Adam knew his wife, and Cain and
well
Abel was born.
and came
I'm like,
into her.
in whatever. Don't do that. But society has literally accused romantic love of being something that men are supposed to enjoy. Traditionally, men are supposed to dominate it, and the women are be subjected and all that kind of stuff. And especially when it comes to intimate relationships, they have. But then the society have literally drew this box and said, when in a relationship, when it comes to romantic love, the man is supposed to dominate the woman. But then we have life in itself. It's 2022. There are heterosexual couples, there are homosexual couples, there are pansexuals, there
Poly
are
couples.
there are poly couples. I mean,
Not couples actually, poly things, yeah.
I went
Relationship.
somewhere. I forgot where we went. I forgot we went somewhere, and there were three guys, and three of them were in a relationship. And that was the weird thing I've ever seen. I was confused. I was like,
I was
what?
being recruited for one actually sometime last year,
I was like,
but I thought it was a bit too conflicting.
yeah, I was like, so how did it? But and it was like, so there was one guy, there was one person, and then he would like talk to the other person, and he would go and talk to the other person. He would talk. Sharon, we're here. When you're ready, you can just join us and come back.
No, I'm here. I'm listening.
Okay, so like, so we're talking. So I was saying, that how society literally have created this romantic tradition where the man is supposed to dominate, the woman is supposed to be subjective, and in an intimate relationship. But now, with life has evolved, and we have homosexual, heterosexual, 3 people in a relationship, 4 people in a relationship. We have a pansexual. We have all these great things, and now that's what we bring gender into the equation. So now it's like, is there a specific love when it comes to gender?
Not
Is
necessarily.
there a specific love?
Is there a gender to love? I
Is,
mean,
is
because the
there
way
like are you,
have,
do you mean like in a way things should happen
yes,
in
but
romantic
it's supposed,
relationships
basically
based
they're
on
telling us
gender?
that, exactly. Basically, they're telling us that a man and a woman. We know that
Mm-hmm.
there are a man falls in love with another man, a woman falls in love with another woman. There are people who fall in love with themselves. There are people who don't see gender; they
Mm-hmm.
just see, the person. There are people who love themselves and they enjoy sex and love with themselves. So all this stuff that happen, can there be a love specific for gender
I
for a
mean,
particular?
as you said it, the way you placed it already shows that we've gone far past those traditional models our parents or grandparents used to imbibe for their relationships, right? We understand that romantic relationships, loving relationships don't necessarily need to be confined to anything. It's just among the individuals, you know. So yeah, when it comes to being dom, sub, partnered. I think people are defining things on their own terms nowadays. And with the onset of like the globalization and global integration, what we're seeing now is just more knowledge about these different, scenarios. Some people are still conditioned to that way of living, but I guess whatever works for them, right? Look, even back in our grandparents' days, right? We know there were relationships where the women dominated the marriages. You know, there are relationships where the neighbor dominated the marriages, but that's for another topic.
Baby.
So even these days, like I'm not gonna be with a dude and don't, you know how hard headed I am. Like that shit I go flat. But you also hear women talk about, if they're in a relationship with a guy, they'll be submissive if he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. So that's very nuanced. People have their own sense of things going on. Some women are just naturally submissive, right? Some guys are boisterous and they work better with people who are submissive. Some women are boisterous and work better with men or other women who are submissive. Heavily nuanced.
And I was gonna say I agree with Glenn because especially if you're in a same sex relationship, it just depends on who's a more submissive person, who's a less submissive person, because there are no roles at that point because you're two people of the same sex. So like in my relationship, I'm the more, I would say, domestic person. So everything that goes on in the house, I control. I control how the kitchen looks. I control how the house looks, the aesthetic, how the furniture looks. That's my thing. But when it comes to other things, like, for example, my wife, she is, she I would say the financial and things like that. She is those type of things. I think in a quote unquote relationship, you have but
It's breaking up.
You. We're losing
Sorry, you're
you.
breaking up. We can't really hear you.
We're losing you. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Hello. Okay, you can hear me now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Okay. What was the last part you heard?
Your wife is she's financial person, all that.
Okay. So yeah, so in our situation, that's just like the position that she has taken on. Um, because that's a choice that she decided to make. It wasn't an
Mhm.
expectation or anything like that. And, I think that even if I was in a relationship with a man and say I was to make more money than that man, I wouldn't expect him to hold on to that role just because he's a man. And I think you're right. I think we put these limitations and things on gender and these expectations, but I think it just needs to be based on circumstance.
I totally agree with that, and I think that's something that we I think as the I don't know I'm gonna say the younger generation or the people who we this is something that we really need to put out there and put out there in the atmosphere because I don't think there should be any gender role when it comes to a relationship, when it comes to love, when it comes to sex. It depends on what works for you guys. Whatever work for you. There should be no this is what
Exactly.
need to do. This is what this person need to do. No, we go into it and we say, hey, what works for me? Like me in my relationship, I consider to be the handy person. So I don't want like to build stuff.
You said
It's
you
the
can't
weird.
cook.
I know it's in part. I know people who know me be like, what? You do what? And so it works. And there are other things where I don't like to cook. I don't like the kitchen. Some
You
people will
can't
say it's
cook.
because I can't cook. Whatever. I know I can cook because I eat. But that's your business.
You try to point to the people, child.
I'm not questioning nobody. But that is the thing I feel is like, and for me, I'm like, when you are in a relationship and stuff like that, make it work for you. Don't let society dictate what kind of love is supposed to be, how you guys supposed to have sex, and how you guys supposed to do this and do that and do the other. It's so weird because having a conversation with somebody who they're married or in the church, and this guy told me that when the church is fasting, in the website they cannot have sex. I said, Jesus Christ, where in the Bible did God say that?
Why are you still friends with church people?
Well, I love church people. I'm like, why are you
That was
guys?
a joke. That was a joke, by the
I
way.
know, I
To
know.
all your audience out
I'm like,
there.
what goes on in your bedroom is being regulated by a man that stands behind a pulpit because I ain't from God.
Maybe
And
we're trying to get with the pastor.
I'm gonna say something really quickly and then I have to cut out. I'm sorry, guys. Um, but I think that to that point, like taking out the roles and the traditions, that's what really makes a relationship work. When you put all these restrictions and limitations on things, I think that's where the love can start to waver because there's too many expectations. Like, you know what I'm saying? If you just let things happen naturally, authentically, then that's how they work. And that's just love. Love shouldn't be such a big thought process, So, I hate that I have to leave so early because this is a great conversation. And I appreciate you for including me into it.
Of course.
But I do have to
Always
go.
enjoy having
Anybody
you.
who's tuning in, I'm sorry, I got to get on a flight. But
Thank you. But what I would say is thank you so much for showing up. Thank you so much for being here. The conversation continues. So trust me, there will be a part two, and you will be coming in our part two. We're bringing toys and everything on the table, and we're going to be demonstrating and doing
listen,
some for people to see.
don't tempt me with a good time. I sure will.
You know what I'm talking about. And we're going to have real drinks, Glenn.
Okay. I'll talk
Okay.
to you
Nova, no,
guys
no,
later.
Thank
Thank
you so
you.
much,
okay,
Sharon.
Sharon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. But as we were, I think we were talking, and the whole conversation just went into a different thing. But I think for me, it's I feel it's like there should never be some sort of restriction on we can do this or we can't do this unless you guys had a conversation before.
So another thing too, life is like there's 7 billion people on this planet, and we're conditioned differently. And relationships and marriage is more about finding your person than anything else. There are some people that in the church they get it, right? We shouldn't do certain things. We shouldn't fuck on Sundays because it's the Lord's Day, stuff like that. Whatever rules, but it applies to you. So I won't particularly negate that or that structure because it works for them. You know,
Yeah.
um, I mean, obviously, it's weird if the man shows up and his wife tells him, "Hey, you can't do the do because it's fasting time. It's a bit more tricky than regular, but but it's still part of getting to know someone. You know that okay, you and your wife are fasting and you guys don't get to have sex for another 30 days. So, see if you can pack it up, you know, double down on the sex for the 5 days before, something like that. I don't know. But you're working with someone here, right? You're understanding that this is another human being and they have their own experiences, their life and all that, and you're trying to put your best foot forward for them because they're your person.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, aren't we still trying to put restrictions on our sex life or on our love life? Because we basically are saying that when I'm doing this thing, I can do this.
But not all restrictions are bad, right? You're in a loving relationship, and there's restrictions in your relationship, right?
Yeah.
Everybody's not just free to do as they please. So those restrictions exist within the bounds of your relationship. They seem
Mhm.
like other people's restrictions seem odd to you because they're not in your relationship. That's not your jive, right? But they work for them. Is that making sense? So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you know, some couples they get together and maybe they don't perform oral sex. It has to be intercourse oral sex. Look, my thing is that please know what you're on before you get into marriage. This love thing is not like what except I don't know what your situation is, but like if you're gonna
But
marry someone, that's the ultimate. Especially if you're gonna commit your life to someone for the long term, know what you're on, right? Like know that okay, this is what I'm getting out of the deal. And things can change, don't get me wrong, right? But accept that that's the life you've sworn to live or vowed to live.
yeah, and for me, the whole situation of, I feel it's like people, and this is the thing again, and I think I'm just gonna go back, it's like everything should be structured. So, they say
Mhm.
fall in love, then you get married and all that good stuff happens. And we like in that February is love month and stuff like that. But then we also incorporate in where, there are intimacy and there's some sort of expectation on intimacy when two people, or now since three people come together, there is a certain expectation of
Sometimes
intimacy.
more.
And so when we're looking at gender, it's for now that we're only two guys, we don't have an extra person that can give us from their perspective. But is there, I believe that when it comes to intimacy with guys, there's a certain expectation when it comes to gender that society has put on us. And that's in
In
any,
in
whether
in
it's
the
hetero
in
or
the
homosexual.
context in the context of heterosexual relationships, perhaps. In the context of homosexual relationships, especially in our generation, one major thing you have to remember in our generation, we don't have any guidebooks to go by. Our parents and grandparents were not they're typically not homosexuals, right? So
Mhm.
everything we're doing now, we're writing it offhand. So we're in that stage where we're making mistakes and falling flat on our faces and learning from them and then improving. Hopefully the next generation or future generations, one of the Gen Zs always acting for
Oh, I think they
the
already got it.
future
No, I think they already got it.
they're learning. So they're learning from our mistakes. That's why you see a lot of the nuances in their relationships and we always raise our eyebrows at, oh my God, what are they doing? But they're just taking hints from what we've done because we didn't have any guidance. There was no like you obviously you couldn't I couldn't talk to my dad and be like, oh,
I asked him
baby
about
boy
it.
now get it'd be like,
I
yeah,
said,
do this like this.
for daddy said
Nobody's gonna
that.
tell you that stuff, right? you know, my mom like no there's literally nobody to tell you that. You had like one random little gay dude that was a friend that you did not want to associate with, you know. So there was literally nobody to guide you. So everything we're doing now, we're just learning as we go along, right? And we're just trying things and learning as we go along because we know that okay, at the very core, this is what our reality is. So it's not easy, There's nothing to go off compared to what hetero couples have to go off. Hetero couples grew up in homes where dad was the head of the home. Mom had certain rules. We're talking about these things in social studies in elementary school. You know, so these rules and conditions have been imposed on us since our earliest days.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
so
that's it.
and I'd like the way how you put it in context and everything, because I feel it's like, the younger kids, their generation now of pansexual, homosexual, all the different sexuals and all the different alphabets. I think it's like this generation. I'm like, oh my God.
So
Like, relax.
like,
Like,
what's your alphabet? What is your sign? Like
like
I
I've seen, like, I think what I've seen in the younger generation, I think growing up, like I said to somebody one time, it was funny because I would just bring this up. So you Liberian, Nigerian, but I say you Liberian. I grew up in Liberia my whole life.
tell
I
you,
I've never saw a gay person really celebrate their gayness. And so I remember a couple of months ago when that kid did a video where he was being make up and this lady was going off at him and stuff like
I
that. And
remember
I
that
was like,
video.
oh my God. Like I would tell you, and for a second, I was like, why is he doing that? Like, what is it like for like a couple of seconds? It crossed my mind. I was just like, now, are you really going to bash this little kid? Like they have come to the place where where they're being liberated. They can be like you can be whatever you can identify whatever sexuality you own your sexuality, you own whatever it is that you feel who you are, and there is no and I'm so happy that they're coming to a place where nobody can really no people they try, but just be who they are, like let
Yeah.
them enjoy. If this person want to have a whole sex escapade, let them have sex escapade. I remember when I was growing up, my dad used to say that thing, you will not carry it nowhere. My father came, he met it here, he didn't take it. I have come,
Sharon,
I
this
can't
is
take it.
the one you can do on this earth. Yeah,
It will be here till the end.
you
So
have to do it.
it's like that's why I feel it's like everybody when you come to your wholeness of your not only like I just you like to do. I don't like to put people in a box, so I don't label people.
Yeah.
I don't. I think you are who you are. If you whoever you like, whoever you want to be with, that is your business. That is not my concern. And whoever I like and who I want to be with, that is my business. That is not your business. Like the take that video said, drink water and mind your business.
Word.
That's what's going
You know, in fair consideration, as humans, look, we're still biological species. We're
on.
born onto the planet with cognitive, references, and then we have to figure everything out. We literally are just looking at our environment for cues. So typically, conditioning is naturally, well, innately human because you have to get cues from your environment to actually structure the life you want to live. For a few or some people, you realize their circumstances are different. For gay people, it's much more different. you know, and it's taken a while to come to that consensus generally to say, oh look, I am different. This is my lived experience, and I'm choosing to be who I am, right, openly and without remorse. And the world has started to shift. Things have started to change. The world started to shift, and there's a lot more, you know, diversion from where obviously our grandparents started or our great parents grandparents started. So there still needs to be, consideration for people who have had to follow that path. It's much easier for us because we've been conditioned by our specific situation, aka being different, right? On how we should live. But for some others it's not that way, right? They they're straight old homos. I mean heterosexual. They grew up in happy homes, and they feel that's the yardstick by which they must maintain. It's traditional for them, so they still have to follow those paths. So yeah, I look at them again with empathy as well. It's their path, right? And they must live it. Mine is different. It will not be theirs, and I must live mine. At the end of the day, we'll literally all die. It's really not that deep. The most important thing is that yes, you have to live your life for you, and I see a lot of that in the younger generation. I appreciate it. I think we should all try to not give them as much a hard time as our parents did for us because they have their lives to figure out as well. And we also have to be considerate of the cues we're giving them that they have to live in, and realize their own potential. So
And it's funny that you brought that up because while you were saying, I just thought about something I read the other day. It was some research article really talking about the love efficacy when it comes to a heterosexual couple and a homosexual couple. And the guy that they interviewed, he said that he was a gay guy, and he said that he feels that there is uh there is some sort of there is some sort of level of I need to prove my love in a homosexual relationship than when it comes to a heterosexual relationship. Heterosexual relationship is what's is out there. People they get married, they fall in love, they get married, they get divorced, bam. A homosexual fall in love, get married, get divorced, and be like, but why are they divorcing? They didn't fight to get married. Why are they divorcing? And so it gets really complicated. It's not complicated, but it's just like, okay, I'm human just like you. And whatever happens to you happens to me. We were just fighting because we wanted certain rights that you have. So it has nothing to do with any. So it's like when we're talking about love, gender, and sex, it's like there is this level of this group of people over here needs to fight harder while this other group is saying, no, let's just move on.
I can give you, typical example. Even like I have a lot of straight male friends, right? But however, navigating my relationships with straight male friends, I tend to get, and this could easily very all just be in my head and my perspective. But sometimes I do get the feeling that these guys just look at me like, yeah, this dude butt fucks. It's like, I don't care what you do, whatever you try. So I was like, yeah, he butt fucks. And I've been around straight dudes, and I've heard them make certain statements. So, and the premise that I think the gay community fought on, I think to win their fight, they have to dumb things down a bit from just being seen as a bunch of people who, have stranger sexual experiences to being ordinary people who also love and, have emotional attachments with one another, blah, 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 blah. But to, to secure our place in society, we have to sell more of that message than just the fact that, yeah, we also quote unquote butt fuck, right? So sorry, I'm using so many bad words.
Yeah.
But hope you don't have kids on the show.
Mm.
So so it's when you sell one thing and they have to return to being another thing, the optics, I can understand why it looks that way. And for that reason, we're put in a position where we feel, yeah, we need to be loving, we need to be more emotionally stable because we'll be perceived a certain way. Technically, we don't have to. It's unfortunate, and it just goes to show that we all do care about external perception of how we're living our lives. But I mean,
And I love what you say because that leads that into one of our last points, and I wish Sharon was here. I think society, it's funny because when love is love, I feel love is love. Everybody experience love the way how they want to experience it. I mean, love comes in all different facets, all different ways, every form, size, every way. That's love. But when it comes to same-sex couples, I feel that love, people from the outside really accept lesbians love more faster than gay guys.
hmm
And I wish Sharon were here because I know I just like, and I'd seen it before the way people would say, like if they put lesbian together, two girls together, be like, oh, there was that's
like,
it,
yeah,
that's what
cool.
they break up.
But
Oh,
like
they're cute.
these
Yeah.
dudes, I was like,
What
they
did I
butt
do?
fuck.
That's like, look
Like,
at them.
like,
And they're like,
because
what is
once people see you, that's pretty much all they see. They're like,
yeah, that's what they're doing. And
that's
I'm
it.
just okay, but these are other like, and then it's like, oh, don't worry, they're not. And there's another thing, another stigma when it comes to
But
love.
let's get like again, it's it's a lot of conditioning. So there's porn, and we've seen lesbian porn. It actually does look cute. I, don't, I can't disagree. Right?
Yes,
So
I don't want to cut you off, but have you seen this TikTok video where the guy they go visit their friend and the lady she's telling this couple that her husband loves her so much that he only watches porn with men in it. And I'm like, God, I ain't love. You see? And so the first thing that comes to everybody's mind is, why your husband watching that? But what we were saying, when we go back to the love being conditioned when it comes to one group of people, like when somebody tell you they're pansexual, they're like, you're not in love. You don't fall in love. You just go around and sleeping with people. That's what you do. And so all that stuff, that's why I feel it's like, that's why I thought this conversation was going to be really, really great because it's like we can look at love via sex, love via gender. We can look at love in its totality and realize that love is love. There is no condition of love. Everybody can fall in love. Everybody can experience what love is for them. No line of demarcation. I can experience love, and people fail to realize that love is in every relationship. It does not have to be romantic. In friendship, with your family, with everything.
But the world is great, heavily sex charged, though. You must always
Yes,
remember that.
everything is sex. Everything
Heavily
now is.
sex charged.
I'd be laughing because when the advertising car and the woman is there in her thong and all that stuff, I'm like, so she come with a car too? Does she come with a car? Because I'm trying to understand. If you're trying to sell me a car and you're selling me
Like,
that,
if you have such a car, you might get such a woman.
oh, see, I don't look at marketing that way. I'm just saying that's
You
ridiculous.
just don't look at women that way. That's yours.
I'm just like, this is nonsense. It made no sense to me. Why are you on the car laying down doing all that stuff when the car, can we sell the car and leave her alone? But it's been a great conversation, Mr. Glenn Okoro. It's we had a great time.
Anytime.
Thank you so much for being here with us talking about love, gender, and sex. Sharon
Anytime.
Renee was here. Guys, if you haven't, Sharon Renee is a celebrity makeup artist. She has her own cosmetic line called Sharon Renee. It's on, you can go on Instagram. She's the real Sharon Renee. You can also go on Facebook. She also Sharon Renee. She has her own lipstick and she does makeup. So if you want to, you can check her out. Mr. Glenn Okoro, hailing all the way from Toronto. That's my BFF. Just want the world to know, just in case you didn't know. That's my BFF. And so thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate you. And we say you have just every time we need you, you show up. So we love you.
Anytime for you, bro.
And this has been the conversation. Like I said before, Mr. Glenn Go, we are on Spotify. We are on Apple Podcasts. We are on YouTube. The Conversation Outspoken Opinionated. If you want merch, let us know. Reach out to us on Instagram, The Conversation, Facebook, The Conversation Outspoken Opinionated. This has been a good time. Mr. Glenn, thank you so much for being here with us. And I'm going to see you later.
Hi, everyone.